everyone, and welcome to the Snack Bar where you get your bi weekly, sometimes more, bites of everything movies. My name is Geraldine, and with me I have the always amazing.
Hi, I'm Jet Young, and thanks, Gerry. That is very nice of you to say.
You're welcome. Okay, so the magic is back, baby.
Yeah.
And it is fantastic.
Uh huh.
But before we delve into that, let's talk about the movies that we have seen this week or last week. For me, I saw the newest DreamWorks film, Trolls, the animated film.
Okay.
I'm sure you know what that is. It's the one with the ugly dolls. I forgot to check out what the premise was, so let me try to say it in my own words. So there are these evil things called the Bergens that are trying to eat trolls because trolls are always happy and Bergens are always sad. And then the Bergens found the trolls after a few years of looking for them, and now it's up to Poppy and this, and I think I forgot Justin Timberlake's character's name, but it's up to two of them to save the trolls. And Justin Timberlake's character, he's sad and he's grumpy and stuff like that. So, and he doesn't sing, but because it's Justin Timberlake, you can kind of guess what's gonna happen in the film.
Is he a little bit
And
like Red in Angry Birds?
um, yes, but for different reasons.
Okay.
For for different very bad reasons, very bad storytelling reasons. Okay, but you actively decided not to watch this, even though you were given a free screening of it.
Yeah.
Very good, very good choice, because this is not really worth your time at all.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that actually, because I heard pretty
Yeah.
decent reviews, and I was honestly very surprised by that.
I mean, it is decent, but it's not worth your time unless you have, you don't have any other choice.
Right.
Like if you're stuck in a plane and you just want something dumb and fun, then watch Trolls. I think it's worth it. But if you have to pay for it, like I paid for it,
Mhm.
then it's not worth it at all, because I have never cringed this much in a movie in such a long time.
Oof.
All their song choices are so bad. Like they are so obvious. Like one of them, they used Hello, the Hello Darkness. Oh wait, no, that's not the one. But yeah, they used Hello, the Hello, it's me you're looking for.
Oh, Lionel
You know
Richie.
that one?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, it was so terrible. And it was such an awkward placing of. The thing is, I'm sure they did that out of, they're making fun of themselves for being that obvious in the choice, and they do have some visuals that show that they're probably just kidding around.
Right.
But it's kind of like your dad trying to be funny.
So it's a
kind of
dad joke
humor.
movie.
It's not even a dad joke humor. It's just bad humor. Like it's not funny to the point where it's not bad to the point where it's funny. It's just bad. And I don't know. Like, and the story itself is pretty bad. But there are two original songs in this film. One of them, I'm sure you heard of it. It's the "I Can't Stop This Feeling" song by Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." It reminds me of
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I quite like that song. I like the Justin Timberlake song version more than I like the movie's version,
Uh-huh.
but that's just me. And there's another song that I really like because it's very much like a Disney film where it's not, the lyrics aren't great, but the way it's sung and how catchy it is, it's like a High School Musical song basically. Like it's annoyingly catchy, but it is catchy, and you hum the tune after you hear it, and it's quite fun. Like the whole musical sequence itself is really fun to watch because it's very musical. Where I like it when musicals in animated films, like Kiss the Girl or Under the Sea, where they use the environment.
Oh right, yeah. Where's
Yeah.
a lot of dancing through different characters, different places.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of my favorite parts. But I'm not gonna, you know what? No one's gonna watch this anyway because I'm not gonna recommend this to anyone.
Right.
And besides, it's so obvious where the story is going to go.
Uh-huh.
But there's a sequence where a character sings "True Colors," and I really like that.
Right, by
part
Cyndi
of the
Lauper. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that part of the movie too. I mean, I saw it coming because I saw the soundtrack list. I'm like, oh, in fact, that was the reason I was looking forward to the film. I just wanted to see the True Color sequence.
Yeah, I think you
Because-
mentioned that in the last episode.
Yeah, because DreamWorks put up the video of those two characters singing it,
Okay.
and I got intrigued. Yeah, and it was a very sweet sequence, and the two main characters, they had pretty good chemistry. I like how you saw how the angry troll, sort of having a crush on the happy troll, and I liked how they reviewed that slowly. I thought it was very cute. All these are spoilers, but
So
who cares?
so
You
is
know what's
Justin
gonna
Timberlake
happen.
misanthropic?
He's all right. I mean, I I I like the two main characters anyway. So, but there's this side story with two Bergens, and it's pretty
Are
bad.
they
Like
bumbling henchmen?
bumbling. No, there weren't any.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I don't think so. Were there? I yeah, there weren't. There weren't.
It looks like
It's alright.
DreamWorks on autopilot is what it looks like.
Yeah, which is so disappointing because I really thought that they changed after How to Train Your Dragon and Megamind, and I know a lot of people don't really like this movie, but Guardians,
Rise of the Guardians,
Rise
which
of the
I
Guardians.
love,
Yeah, I
yeah.
really liked. Yeah, I really liked that movie, and I thought it was had a great message, and there wasn't all the pop music. It was just there was so much heart in the story, and I felt like this one it had heart, but it didn't trust itself enough. So you know what? Let's just add pop music to it and just take everyone out of the film. And and I hate it when DreamWorks does this, but they always have celebrity voices to do like one or two lines, and that's exactly what this film is.
Oh, so there's cameos.
Not cameos; they're like in the credits.
Like voice
As
cameos. So they just show up for a tiny bit and then they don't appear for the rest of the movie.
I mean, they do play. They're trolls that get captured, basically.
Oh, okay. What are some of the
Yeah,
names in this one?
I have no idea. They're so forgettable. I can't remember
But they're famous
them.
people.
Oh, sorry. The famous ones are like Russell Brand,
Oh,
James
okay.
Corden. The two. I think it's the people who sang. The Lego Movie song. What is it called?
Tegan and Sarah?
Yeah, I think they're in it. I forgot. I
Okay.
think Gwen Stefani is in
Oh
it,
yeah, yeah. I saw her name on a poster.
and the actor from Big Bang Theory. I forgot his name too.
Jim Parsons?
No, the one from the Indian guy. I forgot
Oh,
his name.
Kunal Nair.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I don't watch Big Bang
Neither do
Theory.
I.
Okay, well then you know more than me. Okay, yeah, that's all I have to say. It's an okay film. Like you won't want to kill yourself, but
This is
I
going
think
on the poster. You won't want to kill yourself.
I think like we had. I mean, I'm just thinking how we had amazing films this year, like Zootopia. It's about how you shouldn't discriminate someone.
Right.
You shouldn't have a prejudice against a certain species or a certain type of whatever you are.
Yeah.
And then we have Finding Dory, which is I forgot what the message was, but it wasn't just something cookie cutter and
No,
be
yeah,
true to
don't.
yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's okay to go along with other people's ideas. Your way is not always the best way. I think was kind
Yeah,
of the message there. Yeah.
that's Marlin's message anyway. Yeah.
And then we
So
had Kubo and the
this
Two
film
Strings.
this film is basically love. You can find happiness through love, which is I mean it's alright in a kids show, but
Yeah, it sounds kind of
animated
hollow,
films have
right?
come so far from that.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks that DreamWorks of all studios who have been in this business for much longer time than a lot of other animation studios now.
Yeah.
They're still stuck in the past, and I don't understand why, because they have
Yeah.
stuff like How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda 3 that just came out this year.
Yeah, which is good.
Okay, so that's enough for me. What about you, Jay? What have you seen?
Okay, I saw lots and lots and lots of movies because that's a job. I need to find I'm wondering what I should talk about, and I think this is kind of an organic segue. Sing, which is the new film from Illumination Entertainment. I just watched that. Have you heard of that?
Yep, I have. I don't like Illumination Pictures.
Okay, yeah. I honestly I didn't like this one. I think it has mostly positive reviews, but I didn't like this. It felt like they were trying very hard to be DreamWorks because they had a huge celebrity cast and they had lots and lots and lots of pop songs. It's just wall to wall pop songs, and the premise is very very formulaic. It's let's put on a show in order to save this theater from being foreclosed upon. The owner of the theater, a koala named Buster Moon, is voiced by Matthew McConaughey. He has to mount a singing contest to raise funds to save the theater, and it's a very rote plot. There's a lot of filler. It kind of feels like a variety show, and it suffers immensely for having been released in the same year as Zootopia. Because Zootopia does the anthropomorphized thing a lot better. The design's a lot more interesting. Every single frame has lots of detail, and it's kind of generic. I think Illumination they're good at action sequences, but I can only think of one or maybe two set pieces that I really liked. And a lot of it is very static for a movie that has a lot of singing and dancing in it. It doesn't really move. But Taron Egerton has a wonderful singing voice, so there's that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he voices a gorilla, and his dad is like the kingpin of a crime syndicate. So it's basically Jack Black's character from Shark's Tale.
Okay.
Yeah, where he doesn't want to be a gangster, he wants to be a singer, wants to follow his
So
dreams.
now Illumination is copying off Shark's Tale.
Various other things, yeah, and also I think it's a super weird choice to have Matthew McConaughey voice a koala. Uh, just doesn't work, because even though Matthew McConaughey is trying to be very earnest and trying to be very enthusiastic, you can hear the Texas drawl, like, the all right is poking out from underneath. I really think that they should have gone with Hugh Jackman, because A, Australian, B, he's got the old fashioned showman thing, like the song and dance guy thing, which Buster Moon is supposed to have. He's supposed to be upbeat, and he's clinging on to this dream that he had, and did way too many characters, so the arcs are super predictable. There's one character, this elephant who has stage fright, and then Seth MacFarlane voices this mouse who's really arrogant, and he thinks he's a big deal. He's kind of like a Frank Sinatra style crooner, and Scarlett Johansson is in it as a porcupine. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Was she fun? As in, she was funny, cute.
Her character is a punk rocker, so when she's
Okay.
performing, she will like fling her quills at the audience, which I thought was kind of funny.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's I thought it went too long. I think it's 110 minutes or something like that. I thought it was too long for an animated film, and I thought that definitely because it's out in the same year as Zootopia, it pales in comparison to that. Because the anthropomorphized thing, it feels like if Zootopia were kind of an homage to old-fashioned movie musicals instead of being a noir, like a detective story, but just not done with as much care.
And watch this movie make $100 million on opening day because America loves Illumination Studios for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of was okay with The Secret Life of Pets, and I think one of the main things I enjoyed about that was the momentum. It kept on moving. There was a lot of action, things kept changing, there were different environments and different characters that you meet. So with this one, it all stays within that theater. And it just, it feels kind of like a stage play, because it is about backstage stuff. And I think the concerns of the plot are not things that kids will be able to relate to. The guy is trying to stop the bank from foreclosing on his theater because he can't pay the electricity bill and wants to keep the theater running. And I think there's a difference between mature themes and adult worries. And I think that there are some animated films which confuse them, and these are things adults are worried about, so we should put them in the movie. Maybe kids will relate to those problems.
That sounds like Shark Tales, alright?
Yeah.
The betting going on.
Yeah. Very much like that, actually. And there's a big misunderstanding that once you know that when everyone figures it out, they will feel super betrayed. Yeah, that kind of thing. And the director has a cameo. He voices like the senile clerk or assistant of the main character, who is like an old lady, but the director is a man. So it's a little bit like Brad Bird in The Incredibles, but nowhere near as wonderful as that performance, which is one of the best like voice performances I've ever heard. I really like Brad Bird as Edna Mode. So yeah, and the thing is that, okay, if you want to homage Hollywood movie musicals, why not make it a period piece? Why not set it in like the 40s or 50s or the 30s? This is set in present day, and so many annoying pop songs, just so many.
I'm glad that both of us had to endure like annoying pop songs in an animated film this week.
Yeah, I think this one has like 85 tracks that they use, like in part one. Yeah.
Well, mine's probably 10, so I didn't suffer as much as you did.
This is about the singing competition, but I mean, some of the standards they use are fine. Like they have a few Sinatra songs in there. They have My Way, it's okay. They have Hallelujah because Leonard Cohen is popular now that he's died. It's a horrible thing to say, but this probably was made before he died. Never mind.
I mean, to be fair, Hallelujah is such a... I mean, I love that song, but it's a very overused song.
And it's also very strongly associated with Shrek. So once you do that in an animated film, people will say, "Oh, you're doing this because Shrek did it, right?" So that's
my favorite part is still watching Watchmen, and then they play
during the sex
Hallelujah,
scene, yeah.
And I was like, odd
It's
choice.
one of the worst uses of this. It's infamously horrible, and I love when there's a pause in the record for the owl shit to shoot fire to represent him ejaculating, and then you're like, this is amazing. I mean, the first time I watched it, I didn't think it was that bad, but when you watch it again, it's like, it really doesn't work. And yeah,
It's I think it's no, but I think it is terrible to the point where it's good and awkward
yeah,
enough
yeah.
to the point where you it's memorable.
And I think like Watchmen, the movie gets too much crap. I think that he really was trying. Zack Snyder was trying really hard. It's a difficult story to film. I think he did the best that he could.
Yeah, I liked
I
it,
like
but
it
I
too.
saw
Yeah,
I saw the uncut, like the director's
the
cut.
3 hour epic one. Yeah,
Yeah, the 3 hour one first.
right.
Before I've only seen it twice.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's 6 hours of my life, man. I can't do it again.
Okay, what other things did I watch? Well, I just watched something called Nocturnal Animals, which is it's kind of an Oscar-y thing. That's by Tom Ford, the fashion designer. So this is his second film as writer and director. It stars Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal. It's
Nocturnal Animals.
yeah, Nocturnal Animals.
Okay.
Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Armie Hammer is in it. Michael Shannon. So you've got Zod and Lois Lane again. Aaron Taylor Johnson is in it. So the story, it's a very arty movie. It's like, I hate to use the P word, but pretentious. It's one of those movies where you walk out of it and like, what was it about? There's a lot of heavy-handed symbolism that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's arty and vague. There's a lot of cuts. It's very, very over-designed, but the central conceit of it, the structure is that it's a story within a story. So the main character, Susan, played by Amy Adams, her ex-husband is this writer, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. And now she's unhappily married to her second husband, Armie Hammer, who's cheating on her. So one day when he's out on business, she receives this package from her ex-husband, and the package contains a manuscript for a novel he's writing, which is called Nocturnal Animals, after his nickname for her, and is dedicated to her. So it's like, what's going on? Or how come my ex-husband, who apparently hates me, is dedicating this novel to me? And inside the novel, that's another part of the film. So in that part, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a second role. So he plays a father whose wife and daughter are abducted by like hooligans, played the leader of which is Aaron Taylor Johnson. And then the local sheriff, played by Michael Shannon, is trying to help him track down his family and get revenge for what happened to them. So she's really shocked by how brutal and violent this story is, and she's like, should I be worried? Is it Jake Gyllenhaal is making a threat against my life? So that's the story of kind of the plot of Nocturnal Animals.
Well, you make it sound a lot more interesting than you said it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it does sound interesting.
It is interesting, but I don't think it's satisfying. I think it's interesting in a way that, it tries to call attention to itself. It is very designed, it's very deliberate, and some frames are beautifully shot. Seamus McGarvey is the cinematographer. The things that I know that he did are Godzilla and Avengers, but he's done a lot of arty stuff as well. But here's the thing, if you take both stories individually, without putting them side by side, neither story is that spectacular. And the goal is for the story within a story, for the novel plot to be more gritty and more more real than the real world. So the real world is supposed to be very manicured, and it's a lot of rich people, LA high life stuff. And then the story is dusty West Texas. It's kind of like Justified, or True Detective. It's really brutal and violent, and people are kind of just really rough around the edges. So that's how it goes, and it opens with kind of a very shocking image. Like, I won't spoil what the image is, but that the only reason it opens with that image is to shock the audience and to confuse the audience, a bit of like a David Lynch imagery. So it has on the whole positive reviews, but I am kind of lukewarm about it. I think I like it more than I don't like it. But if you use like artsy fartsy as a dismissive term, this will kind of annoy you, I suppose.
Well, it sounds like something my mom would hate. She hated Birdman.
Oh, I love Birdman.
She found really artsy fartsy, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I found it very relatable.
But I can see why people would say it's artsy fartsy.
Yeah, but I think with Birdman there was a plot, there were characters, and the dialogue was funny and interesting, and I think you can recognize those archetypes. It doesn't matter whether you know theater or you don't, but you're like, yeah, I know a guy in real life was kind of like this, or that reminds me of a friend of mine. That reminds me of someone I went to school with. So that's what I think worked in Birdman. And with Birdman, the imagery, the symbolism worked well. I don't think it was gratuitous. I don't think it was like randomly cut to a weird image, which is what Nocturnal Animals does a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I watched a lot of other things, but I guess you should move on.
Well, you can just quickly say a rundown on
Okay.
whether they are a good movie and whether you recommend it or not.
All right. Incarnate, which is a horror movie starring Aaron Eckhart. Not a good movie. It's Inception meets Exorcist, but nowhere near as interesting as it sounds. Kind of dull. A street cat named Bob. I was surprised by this. It's based on a true story about a homeless man whose life is turned around when he meets a stray cat, and stray cat becomes his best friend. So it's based on a true story. Yeah, it's really sweet. And actually, I was kind of surprised that it's kind of gritty. It's not overly sugary. They show the difficulty of dealing with drug addiction and of trying to live as a homeless person or trying to seek help, in London. Pretty good. What else did I watch? I watched Moana. We'll talk about that next week, I suppose. Yeah, yeah.
Is that okay? Is it positive or not?
Positive, but not as
Alright.
good as I hoped it was going to be. Yeah.
That sounds like every single. Dang it! I forgot the duo's name. The two directors.
Clements and Musker?
Yes.
Yeah, Little Mermaid.
That
Aladdin,
sounds like a lot of.
Hercules.
I feel like a lot of my friends when they watch their films, they're like, oh, but it's not as good as I thought. But I end up like loving them like crazy.
Yeah, I know
I love
you're
Princess
mad
and the
for
Frog.
Aladdin. You love Aladdin.
Yeah, I love Aladdin. And Princess and the Frog was like, I was so obsessed with that before How to Train Your Dragon came along.
Right, yeah. I remember Sarah, your co-host, saying that you had a thing for the prince in it, for Naveen.
Alright, those were dark times. Let's go on.
Okay, and then I saw Bad Santa 2, which is the sequel to Bad Santa. It's cynical, it's mean, but it's funny. It's perfectly in line with the tone of the first one. So if you enjoyed the first one, I think they stayed very true to it. Billy Bob Thornton is such a very entertaining asshole. He's really good at that, surly, and it's vulgar and crass, but I thought the plot of it was not too bad. Okay, I saw The Warrior's Gate, which is super annoying. It's Luc Besson trying to get into the China market. So it's about an American teenager who falls through a portal into ancient China, and he has to become the white savior.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like the Forbidden Kingdom, but a lot worse.
Okay.
Yeah, because the Forbidden Kingdom had Jet Li and Jackie Chan, and this one does not.
By the way, congratulations, Jackie Chan, on the honorary Oscar.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that was announced like a couple months back. And then Sky on Fire, which is this Chinese action movie, which I thought was going to be a lot of fun, but was actually really dull. I mean, not dull, but I think they went in the wrong direction, because it's the focus is this tower, this like futuristic high-tech hospital, and when I heard the premise, I was like, oh, awesome, this is going to be Die Hard in a futuristic hospital, but they leave the building so much. I think it would have been much cooler if they had confined the action to the building, and the characters, it's kind of melodramatic. One of the subplots is this brother and sister duo, and she's dying of cancer, and he's trying to get her a cure, and then the bad guy is he's exploiting the patients, and he's really always talking about how much money he can make off of them, and almost mustache twirling, stereotypical rich guy. The main character is the security chief of the building, played by Daniel Wu. I love Daniel Wu. I think he should be a huge star in Hollywood. So yeah, that's Sky on Fire. And the ending, well, not a spoiler, I guess, because it's on the poster. The building is on fire, and it just looks like 9/11. So I find that kind of distasteful when movies do that to try and get a response from you by making things deliberately look like 9/11. Yeah.
Whoa, his daughter's name is Raven. That's so cool.
Raven, Daniel Wu's daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Raven Wu.
That's a really cool name.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, let's talk about this week's movie, which is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah.
So, Jed, what is it about?
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is set within the Wizarding World, which is a new cinematic universe which is spun off from the Harry Potter franchise. So this story takes place about 70 years before the events of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's or Sorcerer's Stone, depending on which part of the world you're from. And it centers on Newt Scamander. So Newt Scamander is a magizoologist. He's played by Eddie Redmayne. And his textbook, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, was one of the required reading material that Harry Potter had to take and his classmates in Hogwarts had to study. So this is about him before he wrote the book, and he travels from England to the United States to New York. He's carrying his magic briefcase, which contains all of his creatures, and the creatures get loose. This is a terrible time for such a thing to happen because anti-wizard sentiment is on the rise in the US, and the New Salem Preservation Society, which is this like cult-like anti-wizard faction, headed by a character played by Samantha Morton. I forgot her name, but this grumpy lady played by Samantha Morton is out to to attack all of wizard kind, and she abuses her adoptive children. The one who bears the most of her abuse is Credence, played by Ezra Miller. So over in the US, Newt quickly catches the attention of MACUSA, the Magical Congress of the United States of America, which is the American equivalent of the Ministry of Magic. So Pop and Tina Goldstein, played by Catherine Watterson. She is a MACUSA Aura, or was an Aura, and she tries to take Newt in, and they kind of get involved in a whole adventure trying to retrieve all of his creatures, and caught in the middle of this is a muggle, they call him No Badgers in the US, named Jacob Kowalski. So Jacob Kowalski is played by Dan Fogler, and he's this guy who works in a canning factory, wants to open a bakery, but there's a mix-up, and he gets sucked into the magical world. So in the meantime, the Inspector Javert type character at MACUSA, Percival Graves, played by Colin Farrell, is out to arrest Newt. So Newt, Tina's sister Queenie, whom Jacob has a thing for, and Jacob have to wrangle all of the creatures, save New York, as it's being terrorized by something called an Obscurus. Weird thing. So weird thing is attacking the city. Yeah, this is a subplot with John Voight. He's not too important.
So, yeah. You know what, before we start, I'm very curious what the Harry Potter franchise means to you, because you said that you're not very attached to it, which is weird because you're the same generation as me, and we're the Harry Potter generation. So what's going on here?
No, yeah, I just wasn't a fan really of high fantasy or fantasy growing up. I always gravitated more towards science fiction. Like, I didn't get into the Lord of the Rings series at all. I think Narnia I was kind of okay with. I really was much more into stuff like Star Wars, which I guess is also fantasy, but it's fantasy with a science fiction sheen. So that was, the thing I had growing up was Star Wars, much more than Harry Potter. I actually have not seen a Harry Potter film from beginning to end. Yeah, so it's an interesting experiment to go into this like almost completely blind, but I know stuff from osmosis. I know that Harry's mother's name Lily, she had the name Snape, so I know stuff from friends around me who are big Potterheads. But I was very relieved that this is a prequel that's kind of very far removed from the mainline canon. So it's a spin-off that is a jumping off point for people like me, and also there are kids today who are young enough to not have grown up with Harry Potter, if you can imagine that, whose first exposure might be Fantastic Beasts. So that's an interesting thing to consider as well.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm a huge Potterhead, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
My 21st birthday party, Harry Potter theme.
Nice.
That's right. Yeah, it was really fun because my cake, I don't know where. Well, you didn't see it from front to the end, but I'm sure you've seen this before, where Hagrid goes into Harry's in the first film. Hagrid goes into Harry's like hideout, where
like the closet under the stairs.
Well, no. The Dursley family.
Oh, sorry.
They brought him somewhere to get away from the letters.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And Hagrid tracked him down to that cottage or that hut, and he found them, and he sat on the cake, and I had the cake made for me. Yeah, so it's like Happy Birthday Gerry instead of Happy Birthday Harry.
Oh, yeah. That's wonderful.
So, yeah, I really liked that cake. It was very simple, but the fangirl in me was really happy. So I grew up with Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings are the reasons why I'm really into fantasy films.
I see. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, well, my parents aren't huge geeks, right? So I never grew up on Star Wars because my mom's first exposure to Star Wars was Phantom Menace, and she thought like that was really terrible.
Oh,
so in the end, we didn't grow up on Star Wars.
That's so sad. Yeah, I can only imagine what it's like with someone whose very first exposure to Star Wars is Phantom Menace. That's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry for your mom.
It's okay. Well, my first experience was Phantom Menace too, but apparently I was like sleeping on the owl instead of watching the movie. And so the person who introduced Harry Potter to me was my cousin, my Malaysian cousin, and it's because of her I watched the first film, the second film, and like those two films, I watched those first two films more than any other Harry Potter films because there was nothing else to watch, and I just wanted to get back into that world.
The Chris
So,
Columbus
but
ones.
yeah, the Chris Columbus ones. But then, you watch Prisoner of Azkaban and Goblet of Fire, and you realize it's getting darker and darker, and I really like that because I was growing up with those characters too,
Yeah, it was by
and it's
design that the franchise grew up with its audience.
yeah, it's bizarre too because they're all really good films. I mean, you could say like the first two films are not that good in retrospect, but as a child, you're watching that, and it really is like magic to me when I saw it for the first time. When they flip over and the food was all
Oh yeah,
there, and
that's
and
cool.
and the giant spider and the flying car, and I will always just remember the part where they were like trying to grab Harry so that he can't go to Hogwarts. Like those things always stuck with me, and I was such a huge Potterhead, and my first ever crush was freaking Daniel Radcliffe,
Oh,
and I had a
okay.
poster of him, like this giant sorcerer's stone poster or philosopher's stone poster, and I'll be like kissing it every night because whatever.
That's adorable.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, Harry Potter means a lot to me, so I was really glad that they came back with Fantastic Beast instead of Cursed Child, which
Right.
was terrible.
Yeah, like a direct
Yeah.
adaptation of Cursed Child. Yeah.
So what I thought about Fantastic Beasts was this had such a Harry Potter feeling to it. The moment like the Warner Brothers, well, okay, I won't say that because I want the magic to be alive, but let's just say the moment the film started,
Logos
you're just
come up,
like,
yeah.
oh my god, I am back, baby, in the Harry Potter world. Except, obviously, it's not really the Harry Potter world because there's no Hogwarts inside. But it, you, should I say this? Okay, fine, whatever. I'll just say it. Like the film, it starts off with newspaper clippings, and then you see familiar words like Quidditch, you see Grindelwald and
Right,
stuff like
yeah.
that, and because of that, you're like, oh, I remember these names. I'm back in Harry Potter land, whatever, And it's just so cool, and the music is so reminiscent of Harry Potter
It's a
too.
beautiful score, James Newton Howard. I love this score.
Yeah, how I remember, how I think of Harry Potter music is, does this work in Universal Studios? And if it does, it
Right.
probably is amazing.
Da, da,
Yeah,
da,
and it's
da,
very
da,
Harry
da,
Potter to me.
da, 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 da. That motif I thought was wonderful because it's just enough of a spin on Hedwig's theme.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
It's da-da-da-da. I can't do it now, but yeah, it's really really good.
And then you had lots
And
of
how-
jazz in there to go with the
Mhm,
20s vibe.
yes.
Oh, it's so fun. Yeah, James Newton Howard I think is super underrated as a composer. I really like his work on the Hunger Games movies as well.
Well, I don't remember the Hunger Games movie that well. Only the Catching Fire one. I remember the Catching Fire soundtrack because I remember Catching Fire the most in the Hunger Games series.
Yeah, that's my
and was the most
favorite.
entertaining
That's the
out of all of
best.
them.
Yeah, it's kind of like Empire Strikes Back, Catching Fire.
And then it never failed. I mean, and then it failed to live up to expectations
Kinda, yeah.
after that.
Okay, so with Fantastic Beasts, I enjoyed this, but the main thing that I took away from it is I think the world was a lot more interesting than the specific story. I got caught up in the world building a lot more than the plot.
Well, I don't want to sound like an apologist, but it kind of reminds me of the first Harry Potter films or the first two Harry Potter films where it's a lot of world building. It's a lot of Harry Potter going, oh, what's that? Ooh, what's this? You know?
What's this?
So-
What's this? There's some music in
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. I love that we both know what you're referencing
Yay.
because a lot of people didn't watch Nightmare Before Christmas from in among my friends. But anyway, I I I I forgive a lot of the film's slow pacing and very little plot because I think they're really trying to set up a world,
Mhm.
but the plot is enough to carry it along
Yeah, I agree with that.
to the point where I don't think it's like Amazing Spider-Man 2 where it's all set up and no payoff.
Yeah, that's right. I was very concerned about the sequel begging because we all went into this knowing they were going to have 5 movies. But I think they had just enough in the ending for a cliffhanger, but it wasn't like all cliffhanger. There's
Yeah.
a resolution to the plot within this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I did like that. Another thing I thought was, well, I don't know what your opinion of David Yates as a director is on the whole from the last 4 Harry Potter films, but I went through the whole thing and I was like, I want Guillermo del Toro to do this. I want someone who loves creatures loves creature design to do this because uh, the creature stuff was nice. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. But I think I really wanted more of them to be animatronic. I wanted there to be a physical Niffler he could hold. I wanted there to be a physical Bowtruckle. You could even build like a little part of the alchemy. So a lot of that stuff just didn't feel like they were there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because the main one of the main showcases of this film is the creatures, and a lot of designs are freaking amazing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if they don't look, how do I say this?
Tactile, you know.
I think yeah, I think like one of the you look at Star Wars, what's the previous one?
The Force
The
Awakens.
new one, Force Awakens. Yeah, like you can tell like a lot of it is practical effects, right? And obviously there is CGI in it,
Mm-hmm.
but when you know there are giant birds in Fantastic Beasts, alright, you can't make that real.
Yeah.
But at least make the smaller creatures, like the stickman or something, a little bit more real.
Yeah. Like I mean,
I know it's hard,
yeah.
but if you have all the money in the world, come on, Warner Brothers, and this is Harry Potter, you can afford to be that expensive. And if it means immersing yourself in the world a lot more, then yeah, I totally agree that they should have had more practical effects in it.
Yeah. While I was watching, I went back to watch the special features of Hellboy, Hellboy 2, and Pan's Labyrinth while I was doing some stuff. I had that on in the background, and it really struck me how incredible the design work is. Like if you recall in Hellboy 2, the Angel of Death, and all the eyes and the wings are individually articulated eyes, and the stuff they managed in Hellboy 2 on that budget is super impressive. It holds up. It holds up really well. I think that a lot of the effects in that and the design, the atmospherics in something like Pan's Labyrinth, I felt that it needed, like Fantastic Beasts needed that obsessiveness that Guillermo del Toro brings. It doesn't need to be him specifically, but I can't really think of another example of a director who is that into imagination in a visual sense and executing it in a way you can touch and you can feel. And his influences are mostly European, are all kind of dark and gothic, and I felt like that would be a nice fit for this world.
I um I'm not sure whether you've seen Chamber of Secrets to the end, but there's a giant snake.
The basilisk.
Yeah, the basilisk. He was practical, right? Like
I
the
think
end.
so. Yeah, I feel like he
Yeah,
was.
and I thought like that looked super cool, and I really wanted that.
Yeah, I know.
And
what
I'm
you mean.
sure, and the owls in Harry Potter were real too. The first two films, I know that they trained the owls
Yeah, they had like
to
real
deliver
headwigs.
letters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those two were like that kind of thing. The practical stuff is always interesting enough to me, and they're the ones that actually hold up, and not like the Quidditch scenes.
Yeah, the flying that in the earlier movies isn't super.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with using CGI. It's
No,
just
not at
that
all. Yeah.
when you need to know that CGI ages, so use it well, but use it only when you don't have any other means of obtaining something that looks real.
Exactly. Yeah, and in this movie, there are so many CGI set extensions that work fine. That's okay. Use CGI to extend the cat. To extend the cat. To extend the set. Yeah.
The cat.
Yeah. This
Okay.
is a really elongated, like stretched limo cat running around.
But like, what do you think of Newt? I can't pronounce his last name. Newt
Scamander.
Scamander. And Jacob Kowalski. How about Tina and Queenie? You like them? I really like them. I thought they had amazing chemistry.
I like the characters. I like the lead characters, but I think the supporting characters aren't colorful enough, I suppose.
Which are the supporting characters?
I mean, people like Graves, like Serafina Pickery, the president of Macusa.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Those characters. Because from what I know of Harry Potter, a lot of the supporting characters are very distinct. They have certain physical attributes, certain behaviors that make them kind of pop, and they're a bit larger than life. And I thought that some of the supporting characters were a little boring in this one.
I mean, to be fair, there's about four main characters, and then we have Colin Farrell's character, and then we have Creighton's.
Right, yeah.
And then we also have all the beasts. So I guess those were more important to them than, who, and what's her name? The Minister of Magic.
Yeah, Serafina
girl.
Pickery. Yeah, so I guess that's true, that the creatures kind of take the place of like a Mad-Eye Moody, I suppose. okay, I liked Newt a lot. I felt that this is an archetype we've seen a lot before. He kind of feels like a lost regeneration of the Doctor, like 11 and a half. He's a bit like Matt Smith's Doctor, but shyer. And there are touches of like Asperger's syndrome. He doesn't look people in the eye when he talks to them. He's very obsessive and very meticulous, and he gets lost in his own world a lot, which I liked. I think that Eddie Redmayne is so perfect for this franchise. When they announced that they had cast him in the Harry Potter thing, I mean, even not knowing a lot about Harry Potter, I was like, this makes so much sense. Yeah, he has that Tweety Englishness, that old world kind of charm. He has a very period movie looking face. I don't think I'll be able to buy him in a contemporary movie like a Jason Bourne type of movie. I don't think I'd be able to believe him in that. But he's so good in stuff like Theory of Everything and Danish Girl and this. And I like really how low key Tina was. That she was totally not a manic pixie dream girl, which that I found that very in its own way very novel. That she is such a normal kind of regular character just going about her business, and they didn't feel the need to give her tics or give her like some kind of hook. And I like the way that Catherine Waterston played her, that she was a little frustrated all the time and just like I just want to get this stuff done. And
Yeah, I love that she's not, kick ass and she's really, really smart. She's normal.
Yeah.
And I felt like she was a lot more relatable than Hermione Granger, for example. Because Hermione Granger is played, she's a perfect character, right? She's smart, she's
a
brave.
Mary Sue. I'm sorry, but
yeah, she is a Mary Sue.
Not that there's anything wrong
but that's
with
because
that.
she's being played by a Mary Sue, Emma Watson.
Yeah.
She's good at everything.
Yeah.
Good God. And she's such a sweet person too. It's not fair.
I know,
okay.
And okay, with Jacob Kowalski, I was super, super concerned. I was like, oh crap, this is the bumbling American. This is the American goof who is banging the things and is clumsy. But I think they made him so endearing. He was so unannoying. I really, really enjoyed every moment he was on screen. The kind of awe that he has, the sincerity, the earnestness, and it felt very of the time. Because Dan Fogler, for all of his career, has been two settings, either budget Jack Black or budget Seth Rogen. So and he's never really had something to come into his own. And I think it was a bit of a gamble to cast him. If I'm not wrong, they were looking at Michael Cera for this part. I think they were also looking at Josh
Michael
Gad.
Cera is too much like Eddie Redmayne in this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, visually speaking. So yeah, and I like Queenie, Alison Sudol. She is kind of like the flapper. She's the coquettish flapper, and I have a friend who said she kind of reminds me of Harley Quinn, which the blondness and the accent. And there's a really fun scene where she uses magic to cook for Jacob, which is a wonderful like establishing character moment, and also visual effects like spectacle showcase. That was really nice. And I like that they went with Catherine Waterston because she is not really movie star-ish. I think one of the names on the short list was Kate Upton, and that would have been a disaster. Yeah, I cannot imagine Kate Upton doing this role. And obviously, they have more planned for the relationship between Newt and Tina. It does not end with this one. So I think they have chemistry to sustain future movies. I'm curious to see where it goes.
I'm not sure whether this is considered spoiler. Because it's...
Oh, maybe.
Okay, never mind. I'll just not say it because I don't think you know either. It's not part of the movie.
Oh,
it's not a general knowledge thing.
About the eventual.
No, it's about Tina and Newt.
Okay, yeah. I do know what ultimately their fates are.
Oh, okay.
I guess because that came up in the research.
Oh, yeah. All right. So for me, I think out of the four characters, I'm most surprised by Queenie and how much she had to do with this film. Because when they first introduced her, I'm like, okay, so I guess she's just the pretty one.
Right, yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, but she's actually really cute. She's helpful, she does things, she helps out the main characters. And I was so afraid that she's just the pretty girl that's just a love interest for Jacob. But you can see, like, there's a really genuine relationship between both of them.
Yeah, it's beautifully developed. I really like that.
Yeah, and like you said, Jacob, when I first saw him, he made those weird faces. I'm like, oh no, is he gonna be, just a comedic relief? But he actually had a lot of heart to the film. He had his goals that he wanted to achieve, and I also like how at the end of the film, he is one of the reasons he's one of the reasons you have that emotional climax.
Yes.
And I like what they did with his character. And I'll be honest, like one of my favorite characters in the book is Ron, but I hated how they portrayed him in the movie where he's just a goofball and he's like almost not there in the film because Hermione does everything right and Ron does everything
He's
wrong.
kind of the
and
third wheel, right?
yeah, he is, and it's so annoying because he's so. I relate to him because he has like serious insecurity issues.
No, there's
And
nothing
it
to be
haunted
insecure
him.
about, Gerry. You're wonderful.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I do not believe that is called an insecurity issue right there. But like even to the end of the book, the reason why he left Hermione and Ron was because he thought to himself, well, I will never ever be good enough compared to Harry.
Hermione and Harry.
And because of that, huh?
He said he left Hermione and Ron.
Oh, sorry. Ron left. Hang on. Ron left Hermione and Harry because he was in love with Hermione, but he thought that he would never be good enough for her because she had Harry.
Aww.
And I think like, you know, you can kind of understand that.
Yeah,
like,
I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Like I felt that way too at a certain point.
No.
And it's a good thing my Hermione said yes, but besides
I'm gonna
that,
go and cry. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry.
And I'm kidding. Yeah.
You'll find your Hermione one day.
Thank you. Yep.
But anyway, Ron in the films, he isn't there at all, and it's so annoying because he doesn't get. Okay, in the fourth film, he's angry at Harry for some reason.
Goblet of Fire?
Yeah, in Goblet of Fire, he's angry at Harry because he put his name in the Goblet of Fire. Or he thought that Harry did that.
Okay.
But in the book, he was more upset because he's like, oh look, my best friend is taking the spotlight again, and I'm just his sidekick.
Right. Yeah.
And because of that, he felt really upset about it, and he didn't want to show it to Harry, but obviously he couldn't help himself.
Okay.
And that's what I love about Ron. But anyway, besides that, so in the end, he's the comedic relief in the films, but then you look at someone like Jacob, who is a comedic relief, but he has some sort of depth to him, and that's what I really, really wanted from Ron, and I'm glad that they had that kind of character in this film.
Yeah, they establish from the outset what the character's desires and goals are, and what his struggles in achieving those goals are. And another thing I really liked was that in his relationship with Newt, it isn't that usual buddy movie thing of they start out absolutely hating each other, then eventually they're forced to bond. I like that. I mean, they had some misunderstanding, but neither hated the other at any point.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. It felt like a realistic development of their relationship. And you need a character like that as the audience identification character who is seeing the magical world for the first time. So you experience it through his eyes. Yeah.
He's really fun. I really like him. And I love Newt too because obviously he's Eddie Redmayne. And I haven't hated him before because I've never seen what's that one called again? Jupiter Ascending. But even in that, the little clips I watch of him just screaming and then like suddenly and then softly talking, I liked it. Like I think it's I think it's so bad that it's good.
He'll go like bring me Mila Kunis, bring me Mila Kunis,
or I will kill you. Yeah, and I love Tina. She's great. I love a character. I love it when a female character feels like a character more than she usually is.
Yes. And I think this is probably a result of Rowling writing the screenplay herself.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, she wrote Hermione Granger too, so we can't give her that much credit.
In the books, is Hermione like that? Is Hermione awesome at everything?
Yeah, she is. She's awesome at everything. I think her only problem is that she's too uptight. That's why she needs Ron.
I see. Okay, so she needs someone to help her loosen up. Yeah, I mean, I like Tina because it did feel kind of like a civil servant, and I think the mundanity juxtaposed against the fantastical is what brings the fantastical out. When you have people treating this like it's normal, they're just going through the grind. And there were a lot of scenes in Macusa that did feel like that, which I liked. So it's just like, what's so special about all of this? You see this every day.
So do you want to talk about Colin Farrell's character? I thought he was fine.
Percival Graves, yeah, he's the Javert of the story. Like his job is to hunt down the main character, but he's ostensibly a good guy. So it's just part of his job. This is what he's got to do. He's got to take you in. I don't know. I think it was fine. I'm not sure whether it would have worked with a more passionate, like a more fiery performance, or whether it would have, or whether he should have just kept it at that pitch. Because as it stands, sometimes you kind of forget that he's there.
Mm-hmm. Although I'm glad Colin Farrell's getting work. I like him.
Yeah, I think he kind of gets undue hate. I think that they were trying, when Hollywood was trying to push him as an A-lister and giving him like all of these big action movies or romantic leads, that didn't really work. But he found his niche in smaller European things like In Bruges, which I think he was good in. And yeah, I know a lot of people were very angry. I mean, not angry, but they were put off by the casting of him and by the casting of one other guy who's going to be in the sequels. So those two were always mentioned in the same breath, which I didn't really get because I don't look at them as the same type of actor.
Yeah, me too. How about Credence? Do you like him, and do you like his adopted mom, who is Mary Lou Barebone?
Right,
she reminded me a lot of dang it, I've got her name, the pink color. Well, you wouldn't know her. I'm sure you would though.
McGonagall?
Everyone hates her. No. Oh, no! Don't you dare. Hang on. Let me look up her name while you talk about Credence.
I know who you're talking about. It's kind of frustrating that I don't know the name. But then again, I've not watched films. Okay, so Ezra Miller, he looks so much like this DC character called Clarion the Witch Boy. So that's all I was thinking. You've seen Young Justice, right?
Yep, I have.
Clarion the Witch Boy shows up in Young Justice. He's the demon kid with the cat. And
okay.
He kind of looked like that to me. And I mean, the character's supposed to be both sympathetic and creepy, and I think that Ezra Miller did that fine. And it's supposed to be like, it's kind of unsettling that he has the qualities of a young boy and he's in his 20s. Like, his development has been stunted by his upbringing. And I think that the New Zealand Preservation Society was very obviously J.K. Rowling's way of attacking the conservative religious groups that called for boycotts of Harry Potter, that held book burning ceremonies to denounce what they viewed as Satanism in the Harry Potter stories. So that is her way of like getting back at those critics, and by portraying them as being monsters.
Well, it's not a very fair comparison, but okay.
I know. I felt that was what she as an author was doing. Like,
I think I don't like characters. Well, anyway, her name is Umbridge.
Dolores Umbridge.
Right. Yeah, she reminded me a lot of that. But I don't like characters like Mary Lou Barebone, whatever her name is. I mean, just look at that name. But she felt not very real.
Yeah,
she felt like a
cartoon
stereotype.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, like a mean nun, you know?
Yes, that was very much what I think they were going for, and I think that it was an intentional, like a way to associate it with that sort of religious imagery that I think J.K. Rowling must have endured years and years of being called a witch herself for having written the Harry Potter books. But then again, she probably looks at the bank account and she's like, I don't feel so bad, it's okay. No, and I mean, there was one scene which I felt kind of uncomfortable with. I did not. Okay, so this is gonna sound stupid, but I felt uncomfortable with the pentagram on the floor in the Mercusa chamber during the United Nations type scene, because as we see it, the whole structure of Mercusa and the Wizarding World, it doesn't really draw on Satanism or LaVeyan Satanism. It doesn't have those facets. It doesn't have that kind of supernatural or horror element. So when you see something that is commonly associated as a satanic symbol, the hollow triangle, the hollow star with 5 points, that kind of made me feel like I don't think it needs to be there. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really see it satanic. I thought it was more like, it's mystical things.
That is associated with magic, right? Like, I mean, for example, in Doctor
Because I thought of like The Alchemist.
Right, yeah.
Because I watched Full Metal Alchemist, but I'm not sure how many points there were. But they sort of had that kind of pentagram too. I'm not sure whether that's the right term for it.
Pentagram, yeah.
5 points.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, to me, it felt like that was recognizable as an actual symbol used in witchcraft in real life. To the point where like Doctor Strange didn't have any symbols that were immediately that you could link to any like real life religious or supernatural belief. So
I see. I see.
yeah, that's but I mean that's a tiny thing. I'm making it sound like a bigger deal than it is. It's just that that's something that me personally made me feel uncomfortable.
Credence made me feel uncomfortable, but I guess that was the point.
Yeah,
I mean, I felt so sorry for him, but there's something about his character that I didn't like.
right.
I
Yeah.
mean, what they did with him at the end. I'll talk about it more in spoilers.
Yeah. I'm
But
not super
yeah.
satisfied with that either. Yeah.
No. Like okay, so talking about not super satisfied, I think one of the main problems obviously is that there were two plot points going on, and I felt like neither of them meshed well. Because one is really light-hearted and fun, and the other is like something wicked this way comes or something like that.
Right, and okay, so with the subplot that we were talking about very briefly earlier, the one with John Voight as the owner of a newspaper, and his son is running for, or is a senator, and he's a possible presidential candidate. So they have a huge like fundraiser event for him, and the Obscures attacks the fundraiser. That's the big like action set piece you see in the trailer. So that to me, it felt like J.K. Rowling was very obviously referencing Citizen Kane with that imagery. Are you familiar with Citizen Kane?
No.
It's
no.
it's the one like pretentious movie nerds will always say is that's the best movie of all time.
Citizen Kane.
Yeah, Citizen
okay,
Kane.
sorry. I thought you hit Susan Kane. I'm like,
oh,
I don't know my politics.
No, that's an indictment of my diction. Citizen Kane. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about like a megalomaniac newspaper owner who kind of wants to rule the world, and they were going for that with the big posters, and that was supposed to be political commentary, I think, but I don't think that subplot was developed at all, and I don't think they used John Voight well.
I mean that's not the main thing. I mean that felt like I kind of forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, that's like that's a C plot. Yeah. The B plot is the New Salem Preservation Society.
Yeah. What's happening with the Obscures and what is it and who's controlling it? Well, who's not controlling it?
Right, yeah.
Who can't control it and who's the source of that? That's the B plot that I thought didn't mesh well with. Let's go look for creatures and fantastic beasts. We need to know where to find them.
Yeah, let's do funny mating dances.
Yeah, which I thought was cute.
My favorite part of the film.
I love how that scene randomly had theme inside. Like it just appeared out of nowhere and it just went off.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
That was weird.
Yeah, so that's right, because the tone it wants to be darker. It wants to have more of a grounding in historical events as opposed to a historical climate of the time, but at the same time it also wants to be very whimsical. And it wants to have a lot of visual stuff that is unique or that's amusing. So that did not sit well with the sort of the darkness of. I mean, this woman is abusing her adoptive children. It's really dark. You see her abusing them. You see the scars and all of that. And there is one scene. Well, not to give away too much, but one character is about to get executed, and that was super jarring. I was like kind of thrown off by that. Like I liked the way they handled it in the end, but I was like, oh, I didn't expect this.
One character, I don't remember which scene you're talking about, but I guess we'll talk about that in spoilers.
Yeah, it's the character's about to get executed, like a.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think because of the tone differences, the pacing suffered a lot. But I'm so used to Harry Potter pacing that I was okay with it.
Yeah, I actually wasn't really bothered by the pacing. I think like it held enough of my attention, and I think my favorite scene was the zoo. The zoo in the briefcase was like was.
Well, we shouldn't say that. That's a spoiler.
It's a spoiler? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was just like getting to know and see the creatures. It's like taking your time with that, and it felt like that was the pitch that they were trying for.
And okay, sorry, my cat just came in.
Hi, cat. Is it a fantastic beast?
No, it's not that.
It's a mundane
beast.
beast.
It's a beast.
It's a beast. For who could ever love a beast?
I love that song. I hate that it's not going to be in the film. Okay, so one last thing about this film. I love, as a Harry Potter fan, how it expands the world. And there's so little fan service. I'm probably going to go on a Cursed Child rant. And this is going to be a spoiler on Cursed Child.
Let's go.
So, in Cursed Child, what
Yes.
happens is Harry's son, Albus, he he finds out, oh, my dad hates me because I'm an asshole.
Damian
And
Wayne.
that's basically, yeah, he's Damian Wayne basically. And then he goes, oh man, whatever. So Cedric Diggory, his father, came to visit Harry, and he's like, oh, I know you have the time turner.
Right.
You don't care about my Cedric. You know, he's just the spare one, which is what Voldemort called Cedric. And then
Robert Pattinson, right, in the movies.
yeah, Robert Pattinson. So what's his face? So Albert heard about it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back in time," which you're not supposed to do, by the way, in the Harry Potter in the Wizarding World, and it's against the law, whatever. So one thing I loved about Prison of Azkaban was how time worked, how what's the word called, time traveling works, which is everything will happen as it is, and you cannot change it, but you can change events that you didn't know were a thing.
I see. Okay.
So, for example, in Prison of Azkaban, one of my favorite scenes is you in the beginning of the film or in the beginning of the book, you find out like Harry, his soul is almost gonna get sucked by the Dementors, and then he sees this Patronus, which is a stag, and then he thought, oh, that's my dad's Patronus because his dad's Patronus was a stag.
Right. Yeah.
But then later you find out in the book, he went back in time and he was the one that stopped the Dementors from sucking out his soul and Sirius Black's soul. So that's how time traveling works. That you cannot change the past, but what you do during your time travel affected the past.
Okay.
But you saw
Okay.
how it affected it. Like, it's really cool. It sounds very complicated, but it makes sense once you watch
No,
it.
it does. Yeah. So the stag was future Harry.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
So in Cursed Child, they went back in time and then they wanted to stop Cedric Diggory's death. But how they did it was because Cedric still died, but they messed up something in the past. It turns out, oh, Hermione and Ron, they unmarried because something happened between both of them because they went back in time.
Flashpoint.
But that's not how it works, because the world building is that it doesn't change at all. What you do in the past doesn't affect the future, and the future is still going to happen.
I see. Okay.
And it doesn't make sense. And Harry was like, "Oh, you're not my son." What the hell? Harry doesn't say that, but okay, fine, whatever. And then Hermione, she becomes this angry single woman who's the defender against dark arts, but she's super angry and she hates life so much, which is not Hermione Granger at all.
No, yeah. From what I know.
Whatever. And there's so much fan service, because here's the biggest spoiler, which is apparently Voldemort had a child.
Okay.
And the child was the reason why Albus went back in time to stop everything. Like, her main plan was for Voldemort to succeed. So I think something about, because they went back in time and then they messed up the time too much, Voldemort killed Harry in the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then that was what Voldemort's child wanted. It's so dumb.
This sounds like
hate
something the fans would hate.
No, it's fan fiction. It is what it is. It's fan fiction. It's bad fan fiction, because I've read pretty good Harry Potter fan fiction, and this is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does what the worst fan fiction does, which is, I can't think of anything else. Let me just take a plot from something that has already happened and then expand on it. Like, that's not how world building works. World building works is you create new characters set in that world, you create new rules for that world, and then, you go on from there, but still sticking to the old world rules. That's good world expansion. I think this is what Fantastic Beasts does well, which is you get new characters that you love,
Yeah.
and then you see creatures, you see how American wizards work, and the Makusa things.
Yeah, I love like the cultural shock element of it, where we call them Muggles back home, but you call them no matches here, kind of like jelly and jam, or chips being different.
I love that they call themselves no match. Like, they're making fun of how Americans, are very literal about everything.
Yes, yeah, and it's
Which
quite
is
funny, the Chinese subtitles for no match, it's ma ji, and then for muggle it's ma gua.
Oh.
Which I thought was kind of funny. It's like you have a goat and you have a chicken, and that's how they represent normies, like normal people. Yeah, and the way that Macusa was run, kind of like the FBI, and they had that huge warning clock with the different orange, red, green danger levels, which is like the current national security, red alert, amber alert kind of thing that they have. So that was fun. The steampunkness of how the office worked. I liked the origami paperwork. That was cute.
Yeah. That was sad, actually.
Them like killing each other. Okay, so well,
let's go into spoilers. But before we do that, recommend it?
Yeah. Okay, I guess. I mean, I think that there's a lot in here for longtime fans of the franchise to appreciate in how they expanded the world and how it's a completely different corner of the universe. And I think J.K. Rowling's involvement is something that will either make you really, really love it or make you kind of ambivalent to it, like, oh, she has too much control. But I think she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, as a Harry Potter fan, I can't imagine a Harry Potter fan hating it. I mean, they may not like it as much as the Harry Potter franchise, but it has the same vibe. It has the same kind of humor. It has the same kind of characters. It has the same kind of imagination. Imagination is like the selling point for this film.
Yeah.
It is so smart in terms of world building. The characters, they're just introduced, and I think as time goes on, you'll start loving them, kind of like the Harry Potter films itself. So hopefully they don't lose steam by the third film.
Because they have 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that this is the right type of cash grab where it's not devoid of artistic merit. There's a vision, there's a direction to go in.
And it's respectful to the old film.
Yeah, nothing in this like steps on, as far as I know, stuff that's already established. It doesn't retcon things.
Alright, let's go on to spoilers. Okay. So
yeah.
Let's talk about our favorite parts of the film, which is what's inside the box.
Yeah.
Or what's inside the cake.
It's not Gwyneth Paltrow's head, spoiler.
Alright, that took a dark turn. Well, I love how they revealed what was inside the case. I don't know what I was thinking of. Like, I thought there were going to be cages.
Yeah, me too.
Like, Zootopia style.
Right, yeah. Like, I thought it was just a transportation thing, but actually he has a whole menagerie, has a whole zoo going on. And I like the effort that Newt goes to replicate the natural environments of each creature.
I love how the review goes where he goes inside the case and you see a shack.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I thought that was going to be cages. And then he opens up the door and then this majestic music starts playing. And then you see the giant thunderbird and it's so cool. And then you see the whole expansion and you see the whole sweep through the entire zoo, I guess.
Yeah, and they have like an unbroken
awesome
take,
review.
which I liked.
Sorry?
They have an unbroken take. They have a nice long take to take you around. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love how it works. It's so cool. And, they showcase the different creatures, and I like how not all the creatures escaped, which was like what I thought was going to happen, and, it'll just be like, people running after and chasing. There's gonna be a montage, I thought, of them
chasing animals montage.
Yeah, like them going after the beast. But I love how it went down to only 4 creatures that they had to get.
Yeah, that it wasn't, gotta catch them all. It wasn't that.
And I love how I forgot what the creature is called. The one that loves gold and silver and
the
shiny
Niffler.
things.
Yeah, the Niffler.
Yeah, I love how they got him, which is Newt. He tried to get the jewels, and then it started going towards them, all the jewels, and
Officer,
the police
they went that way.
Yeah. And like he's covered in all the jewels and the watches, and I just love that scene. Like that is comedic timing is amazing in that.
Yeah, that was funny.
And it's so cute.
Yeah, the Niffler's adorable, and the scene where it faces off against the pug was funny in the bank. I really wanted the Niffler to, for part of it, be physical, for him to hold an animatronic Niffler. I think that would have been wonderful.
I I think it's adorable. I think that's my favorite creature. I guess it's supposed to be your favorite
Yeah,
because of how much on-screen time it had.
he's a mischief maker. He's supposed to be delighted in his antics, and you know that the character's not malicious. It's just part of its nature. It's a magpie. It likes shiny things. So
Yeah.
it doesn't seem. I mean, it's like, it's naughty in a cute way. It's not evil.
How did you like the rhinoceros?
Oh, the Irumpan who was going to rape the hippopotamus. There's attempted hippo rape in this film, which would be an interesting IMDb tag. IMDb tag is attempted hippo rape, and then see what other movies have this same tag. I liked how they designed the Irumpan, where it was kind of on the edge of the uncanny valley, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because it was almost too human a face, but I liked it in the end. I think it was cute. The mating dance was wonderful. I think that is where Eddie Redmayne earned his paycheck. He like put so much effort into that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, the choreography of
I
that.
love the music in that too.
Uh-huh.
It's just like light and fluffy. I love it.
And Central Park Zoo, that was really cool. That's a good idea to have the mundane creatures facing off against the actual creatures, and the monkey like holding his wand hostage was funny. And the idea of like the Irumpan having lava that she's able to pump
Yes.
into, that was clever. I didn't see that coming.
Mhm. I love her design. I think she's probably my favorite. Well, Thunderbird's really cool though.
Yeah.
But a
yeah.
Thunderbird is just like an owl that reminds me of a Gryffindor. No,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
I
it's
just
in the
love
same
I love that
family
sack
as the-
she has on her head.
Oh yeah.
It's so cool to look at.
I like her theme.
Yes. So cute.
Yeah, and
Like we said, the music is so good in
yeah,
this
it's a
film.
wonderful James Eaton Howard score, and there's a scene set in like a wizard speakeasy, and it's all jazz, and that was fun. But this movie does have a terrible waste of Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman voices Narlac, and I thought it was such a waste of him.
I mean, I think it was more of a cameo than anything.
Yeah, but they should have put Ron Perlman in a suit, man. He's a really good physical performer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they did, like, they motion captured him.
Probably,
But then
yeah.
they would have changed
it's got
a lot
his
of his
face,
animation.
so they probably put dots on his face.
Alright, let's talk about how Creighton's his review kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Can I say why?
Yeah,
Because
go ahead.
one of my favorite things about the Harry Potter world is how well thought out everything felt. Like, I love how the rat turned out to be evil in Prison of Azkaban. I loved how in Goblet of Fire, the evil guy is Mad-Eye Moody, but he drank the polyjuice. I forgot. I think it's polyjuice potion where you can transform yourself into another person, and it all makes sense because she littered those hints throughout the entire story, and I think that's really good storytelling. But for this, I felt a little bit cheated because in the film they said, oh, usually obscurants they don't last until they'll last until you're about 10
Yeah,
years
they
old.
made a very big point of saying that to misdirect.
Yeah, and Percival was like, oh, you're just a squib, I can smell it all over you. And it's not good storytelling because you're giving us plot points that we're supposed to believe you, and you can't just turn against us and say, oh, actually he can control it because I don't know.
Because he's so powerful was the explanation they gave. Like Neil was like, he must be so powerful. And I was like,
he must be so angry.
That's not a
which
very
is not
good
fair.
explanation. Yeah, because you are betraying the audience in breaking your own rules, kinda.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating too because they obviously are trying to divert the attention away, by saying, oh, the person has to be 10, and they keep showing that blonde girl, right?
Yeah, like, these are my children: chastity, modesty, and subtlety. Where's subtlety?
Well, I didn't. I mean, the story would have been interesting, and I do like that he is a tragic villain.
Yeah.
And they killed him in the end, which I thought was kind of sad because it's not his fault that he became the way he is.
But there's a tiny shred of him that escaped. Could it have like reconstituted and then formed itself back into Credence?
I don't know.
Does it look like?
I hope not, because they did something. Well, they did make Jacob forget about the magical world.
Yeah, they obliviated him, which is such an apocalyptic sounding term for it. I love that.
and I I honestly think that they're gonna make him come back in the next film because his character is getting a lot of positive reviews.
Jacob or Credence?
Yeah. No, Jacob.
Okay, yeah.
So I think they can't, you know, they can't take what's that word called? Where you take back what
Retcon?
you do things for emotional reasons and then you take it back because fans tell you, hey, I don't want that. I want this guy back.
There's a term
I'm not
for
sure.
that?
Backtrack, I guess. I don't want them to backtrack on two emotional moments of this
Right,
film,
like
which
bending-
is the death of Credence
Uh-huh.
and
Kowalski's obliviation.
yeah.
But they
forgetting about everything that
they
happened.
gave him the last shot in the movie, which I thought was so cute. They let the last shot be him, which was wonderful. I was really happy with that.
Yeah, me too.
It did have too many endings though. It was like, wait, this is not ended yet. Wait, there's another ending.
Well, to be fair, I didn't realize that until I came back and read a lot of reviews saying that they're like, oh, Lord of Rings.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
it's not as
I
bad
love the
as
world
that,
so much
no,
that
yeah.
I didn't notice it.
And because like they each one wrapped up their own subplot, so you know you had to go through them. You had to go through Newt and Tina, and you had to go through this, and that was very sweet of Newt to give him the alchemy eggshells. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Newt is like he's a really wonderful character. Like you feel like you want to spend time with him, and I like that he acknowledges people find him annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I can see why people do find him annoying because he's really hard to talk to.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't look at you.
Yeah.
He moves around a lot.
Twitchy.
He doesn't. Yeah, he's very edgy.
It is like
but,
it is facets of Asperger's syndrome. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. So like from that I can see why, but then you get to know him a lot more, and he's very sympathetic. He's very he's a good person.
Yeah, he's very sensitive,
and I think,
which I like.
Yeah, and that's why people will fall in love with him because he's just a great guy.
And it's quite. I like his whole goal is to help the Wizarding World understand the creatures and not fear them. That's why he wants to write the field guide. Like who is it who said, "Are you writing an extermination guide?" When he said that's what I'm doing. Was it Tina? I think it was Tina. But someone at McHugh said, "Oh, you're writing an extermination guide." I said, no. It's about how to care for them. So I like that.
I do like how they didn't have an explanation on when Tina brought them to Makusa, and she had Newt and Jacob in that briefcase.
Right.
And when she just opens it, they're like, "Oh, we're free."
Yeah.
Oh, what is this? I thought that was pretty cute.
When they were in front of Wizard United Nations.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they were meeting in New York.
I really want to know more about Lita Lestrange.
Yes, yeah.
His ex-lover.
Yeah, so his ex-girlfriend is related to Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
Which is bad news.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't wait to see that in the sequels.
So
I don't know.
Like after Tina and Newt get married, she'll be like the angry ex.
I have no idea. Maybe she'll be dead. Oh wait, no, hang on. No, Voldemort hasn't appeared yet. So speaking of villains, can we talk about Grindelwald?
What the
you know
twist?
who he is?
From what I know, he is someone with whom Dumbledore had a beef or / was attracted to.
That sounds really sexy.
Yeah, like I think his whole deal was he was trying to expose the Wizarding World. Am I right?
Yeah, but he thinks that wizards shouldn't be the ones that are feared.
I see.
Sorry, he thinks that wizards shouldn't be the ones that are fearful of the humans, and they should be the ones ruling over humans.
So like a wizard supremacist.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's this, people call him the gay wizard Nazi. Oh, the gay wizard Hitler. which is a very good.
It's so Mad Libs is like a noun, a verb. Gay wizard Hitler.
I mean, it's a perfect description of that guy. Like, because he wants to get rid of this entire race, right, which is humans.
Yeah.
And he's gay. Well, he's not gay, but he has to be gay if he likes Elvis. I don't know.
So is he kind of like
they never established that he's
Does
gay.
He kind of stalk
but...
Dumbledore? Is he kind of stalkery towards Dumbledore? Is that?
No, they're just really good friends.
Oh, so they were like in school together or something?
No, if I'm not wrong, they just knew each other through. I don't know how they met, but like they shared the same ideals, which is wizards should not be hiding and they should be the ones that are out there and humans should not, and they should not be fearful of humans.
I
But
see.
then, Grindelwald was very extreme about it, and then Dumbledore. I think there was a fight between Dumbledore, his brother, and Grindelwald,
Is it an
which resulted in his sister's death. It's in the books. It's not in the film.
is it an Eric and Charles thing?
No,
Okay,
because I think, well, maybe
a little bit.
because in the end, Grindelwald was sort of, well, they never said it explicitly, but they kind of hinted that Grindelwald was sad that he did the things that he did. Like he felt remorse for
I
it.
see. Okay.
But I guess it's like Charles and Eric. I don't know.
What is your take on the casting of Johnny Depp? Because I know a lot of people don't like
It's
this.
terrible. I mean, he's just, well, when he first appeared, I'm like, oh look, Colin Farrell is going to turn into Johnny Depp, and then he does that weird like, I'm Jack Sparrow thing,
Yeah, the reveal.
It's so bad.
Oh,
Like that's
okay.
not what I imagine Grindelwald to be. He's supposed to be fearful. Like he's supposed to be young Voldemort.
I see. All right. So it's like a predecessor, or precursor to Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's a dark wizard.
and funnily enough, there's in the movie The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, which is the last movie Heath Ledger did. Heath Ledger passed away before they could complete the film, so they brought in Jude Law, Colin Farrell, and Johnny Depp to play Heath Ledger's character. So this means that Colin Farrell has turned into Johnny Depp twice. It's just a very weird thing to happen.
Great. How do you know movie trivias like this? I will never know. That's amazing.
I've not even actually watched The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
What did you think of? Well, what about you, Johnny Depp?
I mean, I don't know anything about this character, but from what I know, it is an important character in the lore and the backstory. So I'm sure that by casting a high-profile name, you're doing that thing where it's kind of like in the earlier Batman movies when they cast big names as the villains, and they cast Jack Nicholson as the Joker, Danny DeVito as Penguin. It was just to draw eyeballs. Jim Carrey as Riddler. So I think that the star power could be distracting, and also his association with roles like Jack Sparrow could be distracting. But he isn't in this one enough for me to get a good grasp on how he'll be as a villain.
I don't want a flamboyant Grindelwald.
It seems like that where we may be headed.
Okay, never mind. Let's just wrap up this film. I liked it. Alright.
I'm glad you did. Oh, wait. Before we wrap up, I do want to ask what parts of the movie you worked on, because while you were at Double Negative,
Oh.
yeah, you did some work on this movie.
I only worked on 2 shots. I forgot what one of the shots was. But the other one was when he goes into Credence's place after the Obscurus attacked.
Yeah.
It was just one shot. It's not that important, but yeah. I just did something to warn, that's all.
But that's cool. You can say that you worked on Fantastic Beasts.
I wouldn't say that. Like, I don't feel like I earned this film at all. Which is sad because this was the film I was looking forward to working on the most, and then we closed.
Oh.
Never mind.
What movie would you say you did the most work on, or you felt you earned the most of in all your time at DNAG?
Snow White and the Huntsman.
Isn't that awesome?
Winter's War or something.
Yeah,
I
the
forgot.
Huntsman Winter's War. Or there's this parody video where this comedian, she impersonates Kristen Stewart, and Kristen Stewart calls the movie Snow White and the Thor.
Well, what's that about?
No, because Chris Hemsworth is Thor, so she just calls the movie Snow White and the Thor.
Okay. Alright, let's talk about Deadpool 2 and its new director, David Leitch.
Nice.
Like that casting? I mean, like that directing casting?
Yes. Okay, so Chad Stahelski and David Leitch are stunt people, stunt choreographers, and they founded 8711 Action Design. So, if I'm not wrong, David Leitch was one of the two. I don't know whether it's Chad Stahelski or David Leitch, or one of them was the stunt double for Brad Pitt in a lot of things. So, their success with John Wick has really brought the profile up on stunt choreographers, and I think it's kind of an unsung hero position in Hollywood, and people don't realize how much work goes into it, especially now when you've got something called stunt viz. So all of the stunt actors, they will mock up and they will act out their own scene. They will sort of do a rough cut, and they'll show that to the director as if it were a storyboard, but with stunt people in a gym. And I always like seeing that stuff in special features. I think that David Leitch will definitely know how to handle the action. And hopefully this means that the action in the sequel might be more tactile. Because a lot of the action sequences in John Wick, you really felt you were there. It felt intense, it felt fast paced, and he doesn't like shaky cam, which I love. So that's good. Like, I was very worried when they dropped Tim Miller, and I said that this is definitely a Ryan Reynolds ego thing, that he pushed him out. But yeah, I think that this is a good idea.
Well, I'm really glad that you like it. Because I mean, I've never seen John Wick because there is a dog that dies,
Yeah.
and I can't take that. I know it's like in the beginning of the film, but the whole plot centers around him taking revenge. So I'm really glad that they're again shaky cam, which I hate too, and I think they're very practical, right? The effects.
Yeah, and they are stunt people, so their whole life
Yeah.
has been stunts.
So they know what makes a good action scene, which is something I guess Deadpool is.
Yeah,
I don't know much about the character, but I guess the humor, Ryan Reynolds can take care of that. But the action scene, well, I have hopes now.
And
the action scenes will be a lot better.
and they have retained Red Reese and Paul Wernick, the screenwriters, which I think is important. So
Yeah.
if they had dumped the screenwriters together with Tim Miller, then I think we should be concerned. But they have the screenwriters who were already working on ideas for the sequel while they were developing Deadpool. I think one of the issues with Deadpool is that to work around the budget, you could feel the syntheticness of a lot of the action sequences, and part of it is Tim Miller's background. He's a visual effects artist. He founded Blur Studio, so it does kind of feel like a cinematic, a very good cinematic. But some of the sequences do feel a little bit like you can't really touch them. So
Yeah, like it's a bit too. What's that word called? High. Oh, never mind. I'm just talking crap right now.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry for that.
That's all right.
But yeah, okay. Let's go on to Beauty and the Beast.
Oh,
the trailer.
Yes.
Till as old as time.
Oh, okay. So, like, all right. Before I watched it, I had a friend give me the link, and he said, "I'm concerned. I don't think I don't know whether this will be good." So my expectations were kind of at that, and then I watched it, and I liked it a lot. So let's hear what you thought about it.
Well, I'm kind of worried because Emma Watson looks like she has the same face, the worried face, which I do not like. I get super annoyed by that. But
yeah, we should do a super cut of all the times in this podcast you have said this actress has the same face through the whole movie.
Well, because they always do. They always have that damn. I mean, it's like they always like face, Okay.
I love how this is not a visual medium, but we understand.
So I'm trying my best.
Yeah, we understand based on the sound what kind of face you're implying.
Well, I love the music for this trailer, but the Beast looks a little bit too beashy for me.
I see.
I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't like the design for the Mrs. Potts and Chip.
Oh,
Yeah,
what would you have preferred?
Well, that they didn't have 2D faces on a 3D model, for one.
I actually really liked that. I found that very
Yeah,
charming.
that was really weird. That felt like projection to me.
Oh, and I kind of liked it. I don't know why, but I like it when they. I mean, in Moana, you have 2D animation in the form of that tattoo that runs around Maui's chest. I guess there was a similar concept.
No, it's not.
No, it's but
it's not, because this one it's more like a real life action thing. So you have that disconnect.
Yeah, more
because
so.
it's not that it's 3D, it's that it's real.
Right.
And then you have this 2D to it. It's not. I don't know how to say this, because obviously it has worked before with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which looks amazing.
Yeah.
But then I think it's because this is a 3D model against a 2D animation against a 3D model that's supposed to be real. There's this weird disconnect with my brain that I can't take.
So there are two levels of dissonance.
Yeah, and also because she, when she picks up that teacup, it looks really fake.
I see. Yeah, you're an animator, so I will trust you on this one. You know better than I do.
And Cogsworth and Lumiere, they're really over designed. You can't even see their faces. Which, I mean, I understand, because when the first time I saw the still images, I'm like, well, it's still images, you can't see it. But then with the animation, that's when you realize, oh wow, you really can't see it. You can't see them moving, which is bad design. I mean, I'm not a designer, but it's kind of common sense, I guess. I don't want to sound really pretentious, but it's kind of common sense that your design needs to be clear in order for your audience to get it within one or two look.
Right. Yeah,
But
that
I've
makes
seen
sense.
this trailer so many times, and I still can't decipher where the mouth is and where the eyes
Uh
are.
huh. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that it's a similar problem with some of the Marvel Cinematic Universe costumes, where they have to put lots of rivets and like lines and seams and like kind of shredding to make the costume look more complicated than a 2D look.
but I mean, besides that, I really like this where this is going. The music really got to me. Whew,
Yeah,
that music.
I think it looks very literal. It looks like they're trying to get as close to the vibe of the animated film as they can. I mean, a lot of frames do match up. There was someone who did a side by side of frames from the animated film and frames in the trailer, which I enjoyed. There's no singing yet. I wanted there to be singing in this trailer, but I have to wait a bit longer, I guess. And apparently, there exists a video of Hugh Jackman and Luke Evans doing a duet of a
Yeah.
Gaston song.
Well, I think Taron Egerton also did it with
Oh,
them.
cool.
I think. Yeah, because they were promoting that ski movie.
Oh, Eddie the Eagle, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty good movie.
You like that, right? Yeah, I remember
did.
telling you about it, and you were saying that this sounds like it's tailor made for me because of the father son relationship.
Underdog,
Yeah.
father son. Yeah. Yeah, and let's talk about the King Kong thriller. Can I just say, China pandering again?
Yeah,
I love it.
random
It's my favorite
Xing
thing
Tian. Yeah,
ever.
Xing Tian for no reason. Okay, so she is Legendary's China pandering woman, like Legendary's China pandering superhero, because she is in Great Wall and she's in this as well. So I think they're trying to push her. I think she's also in Pacific Rim too. Yeah,
Mhm.
so she's definitely kind of like this is who Legendary thinks will make it in Hollywood as a Chinese actress.
Just cast Asian American actors, man. Just
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
You don't.
yeah. Honestly, like I don't know what the character's gonna be, but
She's
I
probably not gonna do much.
probably I just want to stand around and
Look,
yeah.
have the same face. What did you think of the humor, the tone of this?
Okay, I like the vibe. We didn't see any of John C. Reilly in the first trailer, so there's sort of like the wild man. He's been away from civilization for too long, so he's gone a little bit nuts, and there's supposed to be humor in that. I don't mind that kind of character archetype. We'll see how it's done. And this is a period piece. It's set in the 70s, and they're taking inspiration from kind of like Apocalypse Now in the Heart of Darkness. They're traveling to the jungle. The visual motif of perspective of like you have to stand in the right spot to see the images, that was very fun, and I like that
that was cool.
that's a cultural thing, and also all of the markings on the indigenous tribe. It reminded me a bit of Star Trek, the opening of Star Trek Into Darkness. I think we saw too many monsters.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I felt like I saw too many
It
monsters.
didn't occur to me that there were that many monsters.
There were a lot of monsters. But Giant Spider made me really happy. It's like that feels like an old fashioned monster because the classic King Kong they had dinosaurs. And I just really want there to be dinosaurs. I don't think they're gonna do traditional dinosaurs. I think they're gonna do things that are dinosaur like, that are gonna be like Pacific Rim kaiju. I think they're gonna do that.
Well, when I saw this trailer, I mean, it did get that Godzilla vibe. Sorry, where everything is really big. King Kong is huge.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just burped.
No, that's okay.
King Kong is huge.
Yay! Tremendous.
What? Oh, by the way, you know when the first title came out was Kong, the immediate thing I thought was
Donkey Kong, and then he threw a barrel at the helicopter, and the helicopter blew up. No, that one.
I wish they do that though.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Like they just take some random thing that looks like a barrel and
That'll
just
be
throw
funny,
it.
yeah.
Which is amusing too because they sued Nintendo for using the name Donkey Kong.
Yes, because it was a giant gorilla named Kong, and that was too close.
Yeah.
That one image of his handprint on the wall is super clever. I think that's cool because it kind of sets up like this is his domain, that he's the king, and also it establishes the scale immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if anything I got away from this trailer was the sense of scale is amazing.
Yep.
Like Godzilla, the 2016, the 2014 Godzilla, one of the highlights of the film was how they showed the scale.
Yes.
Especially when you're going down the parachute and you just have a pan out. Was it a pan out or a pan down of seeing how big Godzilla actually was?
I think that was a pan
Like,
down, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was a
Yeah,
wonderful
cause
sequence. Them doing the halo jump. It was really well done.
yeah, I think Godzilla it scared the hell out of me because it was during the time where there were a lot of natural disasters.
Yeah, it was right on the heels
So
of the Fukushima thing as well.
yeah, and to see that happening to people, it scared the crap out of me. So hopefully, Kong wouldn't be that terrifying because I watch movies because I want to have fun and not because I want to be scared of my wits and be like, oh, so this is what being a natural disaster feels like.
Yeah, I feel like with this one, they're definitely aiming for an old school adventure movie feel. They're going for like a bit of an Indiana Jones thing, and I don't know whether or not King Kong is going to have a relationship with Brie Larson because she's the one blonde lady on the team, so you immediately assume that she's going to be the Anne Darrow type. Like
I don't think
yeah,
they're going for that though.
they aren't, right? And I guess not, but at the same time, that is a key element of the mythology of King Kong. That said, I totally will be okay if they don't give Kong a love interest, if they don't have the giant bestiality thing going. If it's just a big old monster movie, and it looks like a big old monster movie, it looks like Jordan Vogt Roberts is having fun with the setting and with the possibilities. I guess
I want a Pacific Rim and Godzilla and King Kong movie. That sounds
I think we're
amazing.
building to that. I feel like we might. Fingers crossed.
That's the one cinematic crossover I wouldn't
They're
mind.
all legendary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, people are threatening a GI Joe and Transformers crossover.
I think they're both like terrible franchises, movie franchises, so you might as well just do that. That's the only way you can. Well, that's not true. People would just watch a Transformers film any day. So.
Yeah, and randomly Anthony Hopkins is in the next one. I think he might be playing Winston Churchill.
Wait, for what?
Transformers: The Last Night. They have an actor playing King Arthur as well, so there's going to be historical flashbacks to King Arthur and then to World War II.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because there's this big controversy, right? Michael Bay, he put giant swastika banners on Blenheim Palace, which is the birth house of Winston Churchill.
Okay.
to shoot the film. So
But I'm sure Michael Bay will be like, I'm sure Michael Bay will be like, well, I have money.
why not
It's
giant
alright,
green banners? Why not just CG the swastikas on the palace?
I love how I love how of everything that's the one that he decided not to CGI.
Right? Yeah, of all the things, like, nobody will be offended by this. La la la.
Cubes. Okay. All right. Let's talk about movies coming out next week. I can't make it next week because I'm really busy next week. So we'll have our movie talk in 2 weeks time.
Most likely Moana, right?
Yeah, definitely
Cool,
Moana
okay.
because I'm an animator and that is my jam.
Yeah.
And also I love the directors. And hopefully they don't disappoint me.
And
They've never disappointed me.
And I got to do the press conference. Like, I didn't get to do a roundtable, so I didn't get to directly talk to any of them. But I got to kind of, I was there during the light up and stuff, so that was kind of fun. I mean, Disney did quite kind of a cool thing, which is they brought in Alui Carvalho and they brought in the producer of that show, but they also paired them up with Griselda Sastrawinata, who is an Indonesian animator, and Roger Lee, who is a Singaporean lighting director. So they.
I think Roger Lee did How to Train Your Dragon, right? Like, I know there's another artist.
He did Big Hero 6 and
Okay,
Zootopia.
never mind. Then I thought wrongly. I know he did. Did he do Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, I think he did Wreck-It Ralph.
I swear he's in How to Train Your Dragon. Like he did the lighting for How to Train
He
Your Dragon.
might
But that
have,
doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
because
I'm not sure.
don't know whether he moved on from DreamWorks to Disney, but I like popped in during one of the drawing lessons that Griselda Sastronata was holding, and she said that the first time she applied to Disney was 9 years before she finally got the job. Yeah, that.
Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, so
I really need that.
so that was like, I was like, oh, mad respect, man. So I'm very proud of those people for having made it, because it seems like such a fantasy,
It is.
as a Southeast Asian person to be working at Disney, and I thought that was a very classy thing for Disney to do, to put them on the same pedestal as the star and the producer of the film.
Yeah. And I'm not sure whether you know her work, but she does. Oh, I'm sure you don't. Never mind. I'll just skip that. So next week we have Moana.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna check that out, but not next week, unfortunately, because I'm not free. And then we have Lulu the movie.
Oh yeah, I avoided that.
Could it be racist? Probably.
Yeah.
But it's fun.
I've always said that I kind of want the Singaporean Batman movie starring Mark Lee as the Joker and Michelle Chong as Harley Quinn, just for the hell of it.
That sounds like fun, though.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I like both of them.
Yeah, and Bobby Tonelli is Two-Face. He seems
Robert, he's the radio DJ,
yeah,
right?
he seems very Harvey Dent to me.
And then we also have Pokemon. Why bother watching it? It's an English dub.
That's the official title of the film.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I mean, it
Why
should
bother
be.
watching it is an English dub. Something about volcanoes.
Yeah, something about volcanoes and machinery, which I heard was not a bad film. Like, it's, as in the Japanese dub was not bad, but the recent Pokemon series is the best, I feel.
Is it X Y
I mean, I
or
didn't.
something like that?
Yeah, X and Y. Like, I didn't watch it like episodically. Is that even a word?
Episodically,
But
yeah.
yeah, but I've only seen the fights, and the fights are amazing.
Okay.
But as an animator, for now, I prefer the animation for the newest one, which is Pokemon Sun and Moon, because it's very. I like that it's very loose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whether you've seen it yet. A lot of people
No.
hate it, but I love it. Like, it's so well animated. Like, it feels like a very indie film
Right.
where it's not very anime, but it's like someone who's inspired by anime,
So more
but
expressionistic.
having their sorry.
More expressionistic in
Yeah,
style. Okay.
yeah, it's really good. Like, as an animator, I think it's gorgeous. But I'm not a 2D animator, so what do I know?
Well,
Yeah,
okay,
alright.
before we go, the Singapore International Film Festival is on from the 23rd of November until the 4th of December if you're interested in that and if there's still tickets. Lots and lots of movies being shown. I interviewed a Singaporean stop motion animator who studied at CalArts, which is where all the Pixar artists
damn.
went. Yeah, he's super impressive. He has a short film called Eclipse, which is nuts. It's really, really beautiful. This guy's probably 1 or 2 years older than I am. I just felt very, very inferior talking to him, but it was a lot of fun because you really got a sense of what it's like to do the art form. And he's not a huge Laika fan, he says, because he says that they use CGI to kind of cheat the look of stop motion more than they let on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Could you send me the
I
link
can kind of
of your
respect
interview?
that. Yeah, when it comes out, I'll let you have a look at that. So yeah,
Yes,
Gerald
thank you.
Chong, and then we have a bunch of Singaporean movies, a bunch of regional movies, and the biggest name coming for me at least is Darren Aronofsky. So the director of Black Swan, Pi,
Noah.
yeah, Noah, the Fountain, Requiem for a Dream. He's gonna be here, and he's the current boyfriend of Jennifer Lawrence. So all of the questions will be about that.
Oh, that's so sad.
No, I'm kidding. I mean, if I get a chance to ask a question, the one question I want to ask is, he was briefly attached to a Batman movie, and then he was attached to the Wolverine, and then he dropped out of both. So I kind of want to ask him, like, what if there's another superhero project you could take on? What would you do?
The good thing is I'm very free during December, so I can catch up on a lot of films. Like, I want to watch Hunt of the Wilder People.
Oh
or
yeah, the
something.
Taika Waititi one.
Yeah, and I also want to watch that. I'm not sure whether, because a lot of my indie films I watch it using the projector,
Oh right, yeah,
which is I mean I'm not a fan of their sitting. 'Cause
yeah,
the seats are kind of bad
and not
but
comfortable.
I really appreciate them trying to promote indie films.
Yeah, that it exists.
So I really want to
Yeah.
support them. But man, I really hope like all those shows that I want to watch are still on.
There'll probably be like a bunch of Oscar-y things maybe during the December period.
But I mean, Oscar-y things you can watch with Golden Village.
yeah, most of
It's-
them.
Yeah. Alright, that's our show. Okay, so see you in 2 weeks.
Yep. Bye bye. Thanks for having me on
Bye.
as always, Gerry, and thanks for listening.